Yo, what's going on, YouTube, and welcome back to Goal Line Hockey. It's your boy Kevin Forte, and today we're taking a look at the Minnesota Wild and how do they do at the trade deadline? Because Bill Guerin made a couple of interesting moves. He moved out Jordan Greenway, brought in a couple of guys, made a couple of weird moves before the deadline, right? He acquired a couple fifth-round picks, retaining on O'Reilly and a couple of other deals. It was a little bit weird, but it seems like for the most part, the Minnesota Wild were considered quote-unquote buyers. So we're going to take a look at that today. So the real notable loss for the Wild was Jordan Greenway. Jordan Greenway traded out of Minnesota, sent to the Buffalo Sabres. But they made a couple of really interesting additions. They brought back Marcus Johansson, Mojo. I think a lot of people are not a huge fan of that move. I'm a fan of it. I think there's a reason that Washington wanted to bring him back. Now Minnesota's bringing him back. I think there's a reason for that. He's a good character guy, a good locker room, and he's a good enough player that teams want to bring him back. I think that's what you're looking at with Johansson. No harm, no foul. I think it costed a second or a third round pick. Maybe they overpaid a little bit for him, but for the most part, I think he's a good addition to that middle six of their lineup. Oscar Sundqvist, kind of the replacement to Jordan Greenway. I think he's a good fit there on the third line with Gaudreau and Duhaime. Honestly, I think this team got better with that. I think he's actually a better player than Sundqvist in the sense that, he's a one-year deal, so once their contract situation gets a little bit messed up next year with the buyouts from Parise and Suter, Sundqvist's money comes off the books this summer. It's less of a choke on the collar for them, and I think it's actually a better situation overall. Gustav Nyquist, who knows if he's actually going to play? It costed a fifth-round pick from Columbus. Columbus might have been freeing up some cap space there. But we'll see if he ends up playing for the Wild. I think that could be a great pickup for them in the playoffs if he has to play anything. Just some good depth overall. And John Klingberg, that was a last minute at the 3 o'clock deadline. A little after 3 o'clock, we found out the actual details of the deal. It was a good pickup there. He could end up being right alongside Jared Spurgeon on the top pair. I think they might try it out, at least for the first couple of games, just to see what he can do. I think Dean Evason really likes what he can provide there. And worst case, you move him down, right? Right now, I have him listed with Spurgeon, but maybe he plays alongside Dumba or Kalen Addison. Nonetheless, though, he pushes down Goligoski and John Merrill, and I think that's a benefit for the Minnesota Wild, honestly. I think that's a win for them. And the fact they got him for so cheap and he could jump right into the lineup, potentially playing in the top four, I think that's a win for the Minnesota Wild. And overall, you potentially add Marcus Johansson, who could play on the second line with Ek and Boldy. You've got Sundqvist, who comes in, potentially playing on the third line. So you added a couple of guys that can add to your middle six of your forward core, potentially a top four defenseman in John Klingberg for very cheap, and Gustav Nyquist, who can provide some depth in the playoffs if you need to have him out there. So let me know what you guys think down below. What do you guys think of the Minnesota Wild? Did they do enough? Should they have done more? Should they have traded Dumba? Let me know your guys' thoughts down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys again next time.